So we are at the point in our evening where we're going to move on to the Outstanding Alumni Award winner. Thank you, Dr. Chavetz, if you will actually introduce the Outstanding Alumni Award winner.
Yes, Dr. William Dupre, who I'm sure to many of you is not a stranger. He has been, as in the brief write-up here, you can see that he was a student at the U of H back in the mid-60s, although he did finish up his undergraduate degree at UT in Austin, finished up cum laude there, and also did a master's there under Bill Mulberger. He then went on to Stanford, did another master's in hydrology, and then his PhD dealing with beach and near shore deposits, beach, river, the whole coastal zone. And when he left there and went to Wesleyan for a couple of years before we convinced him to come back to Houston. He came back in 76, was a faculty member, an active faculty member until just 2 years ago. During that time, he was involved with maybe 100 grad students being on their graduate committees, supervising and also being a member of the committee. He taught many different courses. For those who are not familiar with him, he's a soft rock geologist dealing with coastal and fluvial processes. And since his going into partial retirement, certainly not full retirement, Bill has been very, very active in the community and has made really major contributions throughout the Houston and the Southeast Texas area in giving talks at to regional groups about flooding, looking at sand transport and what happens from sand mining of like the San Jacinto River and how that affects the river systems, plus also sand being put into the river systems. In fact, just recently, he was quoted in the Chronicle in a discussion about quarrying in Central Texas and the results of the dumping of sand into the river systems. So Bill has been very, very active and really contributed to not just the geologic community, but also to lay people throughout the area in understanding some geology, some important geology. I mean, those of us who've lived through Harvey floods and so on know how, and the prediction of what's going to happen in the future, how important all of this is. And Bill has been really earned a lot of recognition as a teacher. He's received a number of awards, both from the Houston Geological Society, from the AAPG, the national. He's received awards both for his contributions to teachers, to school children in general. He's made over 70 visits to public schools around the Houston area to talk to the kids in their classroom, to tell them about geology. I think that's incredible when you realize that's 70 days because you take transportation to getting there, setting up, and then returning from that. And those of you not familiar with it, you don't get paid for that. And he's done that because he's been trying to get the message across how important geology is, the understanding of it and the appreciation of it. And so for those sorts of reasons that I've just gone into, more than the typical geological faculty member reasons, Bill certainly has earned the Outstanding Alumni Award. And as I said, he's received a number of awards from local communities and national communities for his contributions both to the professional community and also to the populace in understanding how geology is fundamental, is important in their everyday lives. I remember going down to the coast with him, surveying beach profiles to look at, beach erosion. And he had grad students and undergrads along on those trips to understand how how houses along the beach aren't going to be there that much longer due to erosion, looking at how rapidly the coastline is eroding. So I think Dr. Dupre has earned all of the accolades that he's received, and I will turn it over to him to say what he would like to say at this time. Bill?
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Hank. It's always good to visit. I should add that Hank has and I have shared lunch for 40 plus years, and so he's clearly a close friend. Let me see if I can figure out how to get things. Is my screen coming up okay for everybody? I can't tell on mine.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you look great.
Okay. Thank you. I entered University of Houston as a freshman back in 1964, just 1 year after it had become a public university. And in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have been admitted. I was a poor student with bad grades and undiagnosed ADD, and had been told by my counselor that I wasn't college material. But the problem was I loved geology, and I thought college is the only way I could really pursue that ambition. Now, at the time, the University of Houston had a relatively low entrance requirements, much to my advantage, and was known by many as Cougar High, but to others, it was called the People's University. It was inexpensive, and it allowed a fresh start for students like me who could take the opportunity and could run with it. It quite literally changed my life. Now, the Geology Department, I should add that, let's see now, that's not me. The Geology Department was housed in a small temporary building located where the technology building is today. The faculty were relatively small, with only 8 full-time faculty, and offered only a bachelor's and master's degree in geology. The faculty included one woman, Dr. Margaret Bishop. She served both as my geologic mentor and teacher, and she introduced me to the scientific world of geology, and I owe her more than can ever be repaid. Now, registration in the mid-60s consisted of punch cards and running for classes in Hoffman's Pavilion. I had an all-day Saturday surveying class, a 7 a.m. English class, a class on drafting and how to use the slide rule. I met my first Black student there. It was a new time, a whole new world for me, really. There were relatively few full-time grad students at the time. Most were part-time. So as a work-study student, I got to be relatively involved in the department, including sharing an office with grad students and proctoring exams and helping prepare labs. During this time, a second milestone occurred. Every spring break, a 1-hour freshman course took students to Big Bend National Park. There, I was introduced to the world of geology in the wild, and I've never been the same ever since. I left UH in 1966, mostly to get out of Houston, where I lived all my life, and I wandered around for 10 years from West Coast to East Coast before returning where it all began. I came back in 1976, in part to be involved with a larger, more research-oriented department, in part to be closer to aging parents. By then, we had a new building, We had 12 full-time faculty, including 2 geophysicists and still 1 woman. It was recently approved for a PhD program in active geology foundation and a series of short courses for industry, which gave the department much needed source of income. It was a different department than when I had left. I was a faculty that actually got along well, shared common goals, and worked together with making it a student and faculty friendly family. It really was like a family. End of the year faculty parties, including skits and costumes, were the norms for many years. This was no doubt in part because our chairman, John Butler, whose slightly warped sense of humor and his dress code was unique. Here we are at the John Butler look-alike contest, but you can see that, frankly, we couldn't compete with John. Now, there was one glaring omission, and that was Big Bend field trip wasn't being offered anymore. So I essentially resurrected the trip, and I later integrated it to be part of our field methods course, and it allowed me to spend over 20 years of spring breaks in Big Bend. Now, when I first arrived, and I should add that the Big Bend field trip remains really one of the most memorable, special events and places that I have had in all my geological experiences. Now, when I first arrived, undergraduate advising was still shared by all faculty, but as enrollments began to climb in the early to late 70s, I became the official undergraduate advisor, a role I happily played for many years. And during my 40 plus years as faculty members, I served in a variety of roles at the department and college and university levels, but I got most out of my work with students. I should also add that our enrollment kind of fluctuated from time to time, and this is just the first of many ups and downs. But as you heard from Dr. Lapin, we're doing quite well now, thank you. I taught a wide variety of courses. The ones in bold are courses I created. During that 40-year period, I introduced off-campus and online and television courses at the department as I continue to be interested in the need for expanding distance education. My wife, Elaine, was a second grade teacher, so my interest to work with teachers came naturally, including developing a summer Earth Science Institute to work with classroom teachers. I found that in some ways it was more effective to work with the teachers than try to go to their classes. Now, some of my most memorable adventures are associated with supervising students, both undergraduate and graduates. Students going to Alaska to work on the Yukon Delta. We taught them surveying techniques pre-GPS. We went by air. We went by sea, or maybe lake is a better suggestion. We had an armada of inflatable boats. I took Hank Chaffetz along to demonstrate how we could maybe illustrate techniques that you need to know as a geologist. Those techniques were well learned when he and I took students to the beach and to the rivers, hand a student a shovel, and he becomes a sedimentologist. Mainly, though, it was my field experiences that I enjoyed the most. I taught field camp for more than 30 years, for much time as the director, and most of that time was in Western New Mexico University in Silver City, Nevada. The student numbers varied. Here we have students from the early 2000s. And here's some of the other faculty. Max Carmen, John Butler, no longer with us. Hank's Hare is no longer with us. But these are faculty that I learned much from in watching them teach in the field as well. Students learned to eat fast during lunchtime seminars with Hank on the outcrop. The TAs also gave serious lessons on being able to nap on rocks. This reminds me that we took field camp so seriously that there was one year we only had 3 students that needed to graduate. I convinced the dean at the time that we needed to offer it even for just 3. And by the way, I needed a TA so somebody could drive if I got sick. So we really took field camp seriously. We taught them how to scramble down hills and the proper and improper way of using a rock hammer, how to look at rocks closely, sometimes very closely, how to explain what you've seen to others, how to take notes working in a team. Teamwork was vital in dealing with that. Field camp later began to change. Hank introduced us to Mexico, so we would go to the Guadalupe Mountains and then to the Great Sand Dunes, where Max, who came along, was a hard rock petrographer and didn't think too much of sand. But we got to Colorado and had field camp at 10,000 feet, and Hank was finally thankful. I saw him praying, giving a little thanks to finding some hard rocks on the way. Finally, we transitioned to Red Lodge, Montana, and we have a wonderful field camp there. It can get a little cold, but the lodging is great. The lodge is fantastic, and it's just a wonderful place to be. If it hadn't been for the body being unable, the mind would still be willing to be teaching field camp as we speak. The important thing is that the university has always been, in the department, has always been committed to a strong field camp, field relationship, and so we've hired people with that strong motivation to teach and take students in the field. Since then, I have kind of quit teaching at the university, with the exception of an occasional course with the accelerated program, but I do try to get out and give workshops and talks to various groups throughout the city. I've talked to the Museum of Natural Science, Harris County Master Naturalists, even the Houston Canoe Club, anybody that has an interest in geology or geological things. I've seen a lot of changes over the 50 years almost, over 50 years of being here. We've gone from a Department of Geology to Geosciences to Atmospheric and Earth Sciences. We've gone from 8 full-time faculty in 64 to 12, including 2 geophysicists when I came in 76, to now over 30, including 16 geologists and 10 geophysicists and 4 atmospheric scientists, soon to become 6. We've added undergraduate degrees with the BA in geology, BS in environmental science. We've got masters and PhDs in geology, geophysics, and atmospheric science. We've even gone from 1 to 9 faculty members that are female. We've met a lot of milestones, and we've come a long ways. In short, we've gone from Cougar High to a Carnegie One research institution, and it's been great to be a part of it. Thank you. Thank Hanks. Thank the department for the award. It's been a blast. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dupre. First, congratulations, and I think we're all giving you a virtual round of applause since we're not there. Exactly. Yes. Since we're not there, yes, yay, so we're not there in person.
Thank you.
I loved all the pictures. It's just fascinating to see as someone goes through the course of their career, and I really, really like your emphasis on field work and field camps. You know, as there's more of a move to virtual field camps, I think actually getting people out to physically touch the rocks is really important.
Yeah. No, that's been a major goal of ours. When other departments were canceling field camp, we made the commitment to keep it going. So we're proud of that.
Well, I applaud you for those efforts. And once again, congratulations.
Thanks.
So at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Lapin, who is going to move us forward into the Student Poster Competition Award announcements. So over to you.
All right. Thank you, Patty. And congratulations again, Bill. You know, we're standing on the shoulders of giants. And so we really appreciate all that you've done for the department and for the students. So it's fantastic. And I have to say, I did have a chance to teach in the field with you, Bill, once, and it was crystal clear to me that you're one of the best field geologists and most observant field geologists I've ever encountered. So, a lot of people have learned a lot from you, including myself. So I appreciate that, Bill.
Thank you, Tom.
So it's my pleasure. Oh, sorry. It's my pleasure now to introduce the poster presentation winners. So I'm going to share a slide deck here. And as I call folks' names, just please turn your camera on, and then we'll do a big round of applause after we get through everybody, okay? I'm going to share here. I can figure out how to do that first. Okay.
Do you see it down on the bottom? Share screen. Yep, you got
There we go. All right. And then I want to, oh, well, you know who the first award is, so it showed up. Okay. So again, the Sheriff Lecture is an excellent opportunity for students to present their research, and we really value that. We have 3 big events in EAS every academic year, and it begins with the Sheriff Lecture and ends with the Student Research Conference. And everyone involved, from the judges to the organizers to the participants, all make this for a really successful endeavor, especially during the time when things are virtual. And, we do the best that we can with the constraints that are imposing upon our actions. And the virtual poster sessions have been a success, and that's what I've heard from many, many people. And I really appreciate everyone's efforts to make it a success. So here with the awards. So for undergraduate, first place, Stephen Ramirez for Searching for Slabs Within the Earth's Mantle, predicted by, oops, I can't move my, there we go. Let me go back. Predicted by higher confidence specific plate reconstructions. So Stephen, if you could turn your camera on, then we can all see your face once we get through the list. Congratulations, Stephen. For Master's of Science and Early PhD Poster Session Awards, first place for Brian Moore. Congratulations, Brian. His presentation was the unresolved origin of source rocks for hydrocarbons in the Barbados accretionary prism, squeezed from sources within prism or derived from organic rich blocks scraped off the downgoing plate. Congratulations, Brian. And if you could turn your camera on.
So he is on. You all may have to scroll through the different blocks to actually see him.
And once the presentation's over, I'll stop sharing so that more folks will be showing up on your screens here. Now for the advanced PhD, third place, $400 for Sean Romito for AI-assisted structural interpretation of complex faulting and salt. Sorry, I got to move my people. Salt on the shelf and slope of the Camamu Basin, northeastern Brazil. Second place is Daniela Easley for distinguishing petroleum source rock acmes across the northern South America, application to evaluate the potential for Albion to Maastrichtian Guyana Basin. Congratulations, Sean and Daniela. First place for advanced PhD is Madeline Stetskowitz for changes in precipitation patterns in Houston, Texas. Congratulations, Madeline. Okay. And I want to make a quick thank you to all of our judges, from UH faculty to industry folks. Thank you very much. This wouldn't have happened without your diligence in judging the students and making this awards ceremony possible. So also, before I turn this off, I want to acknowledge the co-sponsorship with the Geological Society of Houston and folks at NSMIT, so college IT folks, for helping make this a success. all the alumni and friends of UH and the Alumni Association and the HGS, of course, the judges and the student, faculty, and staff of BAS, as well as the Sheriff Lecture EAS Committee with Regina Capuano, Steve Naruk, Karina Ramsar, Jaja Sun, Daniel Hopvogel, and Paul Mann. Thank you, everyone. So I'll stop sharing and we can give the poster winners a big round of applause. So congratulations, everybody. Very proud of you all. And with that, I believe that will wrap up the presentation.
Alyssa, if you'll put the closing slide up, please.
All right. Everyone, on behalf of EAS and the University of Houston and the Houston Geological Society, thank you all for coming. It was a great and wonderful talk by Sean. And also congratulations, Bill, for a very well-deserved Outstanding Alumni Award and for all the great things that you've done for all the faculty and students and the Houston community that you've helped so graciously. Thank you, Bill. And thank you, Hank, for the presentation, and thank you all to the students who presented, and especially congratulations to all the winners. Thank you, everybody.